Hello, my name's Gill McGregor and I own and run the Gill McGregor Flower Arranging and Floristry and Balloon Artistry College, and I thought what I would like to do today in college is to actually demonstrate to you how easy it is to make a horizontal flower arrangement. I thought I'd offer a few free lessons through my website which will explain and show how I actually teach and hopefully will inspire you. So to start with, what I would like to do is to work with a commercially grown leaf, the Dracaena green tie leaf. And when you buy commercially grown materials, they're always cut to the same size. So what I need to do is to really work out how long I want the leaf to be and to cut into the flesh and really create a stem using the midriff vein. I'm just going to cut into the flesh like so, using the very stiff vein which transports the water and the food up to the plant, and insert it into the actual floral foam. Now the floral foam has been soaked with water, and I much prefer to use the Oasis Max Life floral foam. It seems to hold the water in far better. And when you soak the floral foam, what you do need to do is just watch, because if you put the foam so that the actual writing is facing uppermost, place it into the water, you'll actually find that within about 90 seconds the foam is fully soaked and you don't need to then allow it to sit in the water any longer. So the green tie leaves have been placed into the actual floral foam, and what I decided to use is one of these lovely areca palms. You can see that they're quite floppy, they have a lovely curved piece of movement. But what I've decided to do is to actually change the look of this palm and actually plait it so it forms a shape like this, so that we have some lovely enclosed space. And the technique of plaiting is incorporated into my leaf manipulation technique. So I'm going to cut the stem at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to just cut away some of the excess fronds, and then what I want to do is just to insert it into the floral foam just above the green tie, centrally, really just to add a little bit of mystery and interest to my arrangement, and then to repeat the process on the opposite side. So again, cutting into the stem, removing any of the excess leaves so that they can then just be easily inserted. So I'm just cutting away, and I'm just going to add the leaf so that it's of interest. And I much prefer to have it so that the leaves do appear to be of different lengths to create my horizontal line, so it sits like so in the vase. Now what I need to do is to hide the gap between the floral foam and the container, and I find that the Fatsia japonica leaf is a really useful leaf. It has a lovely palmate look to the leaf. It's nice and shiny, especially if you put leaf shine on it. And what I'm going to do is just to cut the end of the stem and very, very simply insert it into the floral foam, so you can see that it's quickly hiding the gap between the container. And really just to add a little bit of interest and to lead the eye through the design, I'm actually going to add just a few more Fatsia leaves so that they appear nice and interesting and again hide the gap. So I'm still working on the sides of the floral foam just to actually then position my materials. So my 5 Fatsia leaves are now sitting in the foam so that they look interesting, like so. I do need to hide the gap at the back, and so what I'm going to do is just to work with a little bit of the compressors, really just to hide the mechanics, so that if the design is positioned near a mirror, etc., then obviously you're not going to see that on slightly floral foam. So I only need to have small quantities, which I'm just going to place low down, really just to hide that little bit of floral foam that's sitting right at the back there. So having completed that, I feel that there is a space between the Fatsias and the plaited areca palms, and I think what I'm going to use is another commercially grown but easy to grow in your own homes, an aspidestra leaf. Now again, you can see it's rather floppy, so really what I need to do is to do some little bit of leaf manipulation just to make it look a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to take the tip of the leaf and I'm going to roll it so that it starts to curve inwards, making sure that the main vein is always central. And I'm going to take a little piece of wire which I have bent into a hairpin shape, and what I do is I insert it diagonally into the leaf either side of the main vein, and inside I'm actually folding over the wire to hold it in place, so I have what I call an enclosed space within it. That makes it so it's easier to arrange and adds just a little bit of interest to the design. So in true Blue Peter style, I have a few I've made earlier, and what I'm going to do is to use the slightly thinner leaves towards the outside and then work with the slightly larger leaves just going towards the centre. And again, I'm going to have to cut into the flesh and just use that midriff vein as if it's a stalk. So I'm just going to cut that down and then place it into the floral foam to where I would like it to be positioned. So we're just having the two rolls just sitting there like so. So it adds a little bit of interest. I now need to place the material so it goes diagonally opposite. So again, I'm going to use the smaller of the leaves towards the outside and then use the slightly larger leaves towards the centre of the design. So I'm just going to place that like so, but to try to get it to be a little bit more visual, it's slightly more raised. Again, with one of the larger leaves that has been rolled, I'm then going to cut it down, create the stem, and then place that into the design so it sits quite nicely. And the little technique that I'm actually creating is called terracing, where you have some like materials which are then zigzagging slightly from side to side up into the design, so that the back is slightly up further than the front. I just want to add a little bit more interest, and one of my other most favourite foliages is the Rapis palm, and I love the actual way that the fronds actually fan outwards. Now it is rather large at that size, but what we can actually do is to make it smaller. It's just to lead the actual fronds up, give it a quick cut, so you're creating the cut like a fringe, and then you can actually make the leaf so it's much smaller in length. So I'm just going to place that into the design and place that towards the back just here, again just sitting upwards. I'm going to use another one and cut that down much shorter, and again just add that to the arrangement. And you'll find that what I'm doing is adding little groups of materials together to add interest. Now I've placed little leaves here, so diagonally opposite, I then need to position a further Rapis palm. So again, I'm just going to cut it down, cut the actual end of the stem at a 45-degree angle, and then just place it into the floral foam so it adds interest. Now as you can see that there is an expansive floral foam towards the top, which will then help to house the flowers, and what I will need to do is to hide the mechanics. Now whenever you're making designs, you do need to try to make sure that you have some textural contrast. I've got lots of shiny textures in there, so what I've decided to use is just this little bit of fur, and I've only cut it from the garden, conditioned it by putting it in water for a couple of hours, and I'm just going to add that so that we have this sort of rough texture which will contrast nicely against the shininess of the Faxias and the aspidestra leaves. But because I'm using just small amounts, what I actually need to do is to make sure that I have just some nice little clusters, little grouped clusters, to lead your eye in towards the design. So I've now positioned 3 little placements towards the centre. They're sitting near to the shiny materials just to help to give that textural contrast. Again, if you see any element of floral foam towards the back, I'm just going to use the leftover pieces really just to help to hide the mechanics so we get to that stage. Now what I want to do is obviously select a flower that has impact, and what I decided to do is to work with the lovely Anthurium. This is the tropical variety. Some people like them, some people hate them, but I find them very, very attractive, and I thought that they would help to add to this contemporary design. So what I'm going to do to start with is just to look at the flowers and just see whether I select, well, what I want to do is to select my larger flowers to go towards the centre. So I have 2 remaining flowers, and what I want to do is just to get them to be positioned either side, so I create a line just to flow through. So a line is just going to go through the actual design. So first of all, what I need to do is to select one of the flowers and just judge and see exactly how long I would like this flower to be. I'm going to add on an additional inch, and then I'm just going to insert him into the design like so. So that's my first placement. Notice that I'm allowing quite a lot of the foliage to be extended further than the actual flower so that they actually help to frame it. I'm then going to work with my second flower, and what I need to do again is to judge how long it wants to be. So I'm looking where the edge of the foam is, add a generous inch into the foam, and then just place the flower like so, so that he sits quite nicely and has the space around it so that you can really see that flower for all its beauty. I then need to select my focal flower, which is going to be my largest flower. I don't want the design to be too high because this is a horizontal, and so what I want to do is just to add that flower so he doesn't compete with the other foliage that I've used. Otherwise really I needn't have put that particular types of foliage in. So the central flower is sitting there, and then with my 2 remaining flowers I'm then just going to actually add them so that they sit either side of the focal flower, just to add additional interest. So I'm just going to place one little flower in here, and I've hidden my mechanics so well I can't see the floral foam, so he's going to sit there like so, and my 5th and last flower is then going to sit on the opposite side. And then you'll be able to see that you sort of created not a straight line but an interesting line of materials so that it flows through. Now just to finish off, what I've decided to use is a few cordyline leaves, which are houseplant leaves. You can buy them commercially already cut, or just cut them off your plant, then condition them by putting the stems into water for a couple of hours just so that they achieve a nice lot of water into the leaf blade. I could use the leaf like so, but what I want to do is add a little bit of interest and make it into a loop. So what I'm going to do is just insert the stem into the floral foam, take one of my little hairpin wires and then just bend the leaf back, place the tip of the leaf so it sits onto the floral foam, and pin either side of the midriff vein. And so really this is just to help to add a little bit of more interest down low, so it's recessed material which will again help to hide the mechanics and give just that extra little bit of interest, so that when the eye is led into the design by following that line of Anthuriums, we've then got something of interest to look at right towards the centre. So when I'm inserting the wires, I'm trying to make sure that the wire sits flush against the actual floral foam itself, and we then have that little bit of recession. Now I just feel that there needs to be one more leaf, so again I'm just going to insert this in at an acute diagonal angle, take my final piece of wire, curve the leaf, and then just pin it against the floral foam. And you can see how quickly and easily it is to make an attractive horizontal arrangement. Right, now I've shown you how to make a horizontal design. It's now your turn. So why not select a container that will suit your home, buy some flowers that will suit your home or your particular choices, find some foliages and have a play, because flower arranging is actually lots and lots of fun. So this is just an example of my teaching. When I run my classes, I'm very precise in how I create the designs and explain the techniques. And each month I will be producing on my website a how to do lesson. Could be floristry, could be flower arranging, could be balloon artistry. So why don't you join me and come and visit my website next month, or perhaps even come and have a lesson with me, and you'll see the range of different courses that I run, obviously throughout the website information. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.